There we go. Yes.
We're all good now.
Hello. Hello, everyone.
Hello.
All right. Thanks for everybody for showing up today. Uh, we are the Hope and Healing Foundation for Suicide Prevention and Mental Health Wellness. I am Cedric Bell, and this is my lovely wife, Nicole Albanese Bell. And tonight we are going to have a very special guest speaker, one of our colleagues and special friends, and also she is a clinical therapist for South Florida. This is Miss Chineze Martinez. Like I said, she's a licensed mental health counselor and certified addiction professional for the state of Florida. Miss Martinez received her master's degree in clinical psychology from Fisk University. That's out of Nashville, Tennessee, right? And this
Yes.
is where she developed a very known thesis on the prevalence of substance abuse in historical Black colleges and universities. Ms. Martinez has worked in the mental health field and substance abuse field for over 15 years, where she has provided treatment to multiple populations and is the proud owner of her own practice called Keep Moving Clinical Services LLC out of Pinecrest, Florida. Presently, Mrs. Martinez is continuing her education in pursuit of her PhD degree
Yes.
at the distinguished CAU University for Human Services. We welcome Ms. Chineze to the Hope and Healing Foundation platform tonight, and we thank you for taking the time out of your busy schedule to conduct your presentation on managing work and life stressors, our new COVID-19 lifestyle. Let's welcome Ms.
Yay.
Chineze. All right.
Thank
So,
you.
Ms. Shinaze, the topic is very prevalent to today's society. So, tell us more about this managing your work life stressors.
So first, I want to say thank you to the Hope and Healing Foundation for having me tonight. I truly appreciate this opportunity. And for those of you that have attended as well, thank you for being here. Cedric, you were very correct in your statement in stating that life has significantly changed since COVID has come around. One, it was unprecedented. No one expected it, so there was no preparation for what life will be like before, during, or, we're still continuing here a year later in this pandemic. Life has been very challenging for adults, for kids, for everyone involved. Many people have seen challenges as it relates to their mood disturbance, their ability to manage life, home living, finances, relationships. A plethora of different ways of life has been affected negatively by the pandemic. As many of us are aware, finance is one of the significant impairments that people have experienced, whether it be to loss of work, loss of wages, loss of work hours. Therefore, they have supplemental residual complications as it may be to housing opportunities, maintaining the structure and the stability of their home, caring for the needs of the kids, etc. Because of this, we are seeing a surge in different complications as it may be, as it relates to physical health, as it relates to mental and emotional health, spiritual wellness and being. This pandemic has affected people's lives overall in many different areas. Many people don't know how to resolve because we don't know an answer to what is going on. We are left being confused. We're being left being stuck. And sometimes we just want to get unstuck. And right now we don't know how to get unstuck. And that's how a lot of people are experiencing the continuing complications of COVID, managing the stress and understanding that there is going to be an end. But when we haven't seen the end a year later, it's hard for us to understand that and to grasp the idea that there are options out there, that there are alternatives to what we may be currently seeing. So within the presentation tonight, I would just like to discuss a couple of potential coping skill situations that can be used to help you in managing your personal life as it may relate to work stressors, family stressors, social stressors. They could be applicable to any particular situation that you choose to be fitting for your respective lifestyle. So I'm looking particularly at one. I think this is very big. A lot of people may have seen a decline in self-care. self-care being that we are not attending to our overall well-being because we are so over consumed with stress with work, stress with life, caring for our families and our lifestyles, that we do not have the time to take out 5, 10 minutes to do deep breathing, for us to go to the park and take a walk. Our lives have been consolidated to inside the home. And as humans, we work off having interpersonal relationships and interactions with one another. And because we've been told you have to be inside your house, you have to be quarantined, that takes you away from that ability to relate to other people and interact with one another. And that sets in the sense of isolation, neglect, loneliness that a lot of people have been experiencing. So as we ponder through and we work through this idea of creating a new lifestyle, how do I create a new lifestyle working within the pandemic and then within COVID and with these new expectations that society has given us that we don't really have any guidance on? We have to be mindful that, one, you have to take care of yourself physically. You have to make sure that you're eating well. You have to make sure that your dietary is within healthy limits. We can't be, eating snacks and cookies and, fast food. We have to make sure that we're still getting the required vegetables and just taking care of our physical health overall. That may include exercising, getting out, doing some things around the house, being more active, just to decrease the idea of just sitting. Sometimes just sitting is too much for us, especially when we are sitting all day. And I know a lot of people are working from home, and that is another distractor and a distraction from you being able to interact with one another. So being able to get up and move around and being active around your house, whether you go walk around your neighborhood, that is also imperative to your physical well-being. You can also include sleep. A lot of people have seen a great disturbance in your sleep because of the amount of stress that they are experiencing and not knowing how to work through, for lack of better words, what our challenges are in front of us. So a lot of people are seeing impairments as far as the inability to get a good quality of sleep and good quantity of sleep, and or both. And if you're not able to get a good quality and quantity of sleep, then you're going to see overlapping consequences of that throughout your day, throughout your relationship, throughout your ability to perform well at work or meet the daily tasks that you may have in front of you. In addition to being mindful of your physical health, we have to be mindful of our mental health and our emotional health. As I stated, because we are having this isolation and the separation from other people, we are definitely seeing a rise in depression, a rise in anxiety, a rise in just mental health concerns overall as it relates. And as Cedric mentioned, in my private practice and working just with people, knowing people, it's obvious to see the increase that people are experiencing as it relates to understanding why we're here. No one understands why we're here, how it affects us mentally and physically. We just know we're going through something. And I think as people, we always look to have an answer. We need to know why. And when we don't know why, that increases the ideation that we'll never get out of. We become hopeless and we become helpless because we've been here a whole year doing what we felt we were supposed to do to curb the trend of this COVID pandemic. And here we are a year later, still stuck in it. So a part of your mental health and your emotional health is being mindful of what you can do to distract and to lessen the impact that you're experiencing as it relates to stress. That may be engaging with other people via phone, via text message, engaging in support groups, reaching out to people, doing things that are helpful to you that may help as stress, reduce their sewing if you love sewing, pick up the needle and thread to crochet, whatever it may be, put something as a positive alternative to just not having anything, because we need to have something that we can relate to, because a lot of things that we once have been taken away for us temporarily. So if you're able to find something to put in that time, that would be very helpful in managing your stress and the anxiety as it may relate to depression, being away from family members, not being able to travel. A lot of people have family across the United States. My family's in Oregon, and I haven't been able to see my family because of the pandemic. So, being able to find other ways to relate to other people and just being mindful that you do have control although it may not seem it, you do have control and you do have power in your options of what you have available in front of you. It's just finding what works for you. Excuse me. In addition to that, just being just being positive. A lot of times our thoughts lead the way we feel. And there's a thing called cognitive behavioral, which means that your relationship between the way you think definitely has an influence on the way you feel, which has a relationship on the way you behave. And as long as one of those points within that triad is negative and you don't do anything to interrupt that, then more than likely the other 2 points will also be negative. But once we're able to identify that something is negative within this relationship, then we're able to implement something there to stop it and change the trajectory where we're going. So if you're having negative thoughts, reach out to someone, do something that's more constructive, that gives you an alternative to help you see things in a different way and to give you a positive mindset, because our mind typically controls the way we feel, which controls the behavior that we produce and we put out into society. So, just being mindful of the things that you ingest and the things that you put out is very important in being able to maintain and to control the level of stress and the impact that you are experiencing during this current time.
All right. That's some good information. Now, let me ask you, and I don't want to stop you during the presentation, but what type of activities other than exercise and calling friends? Is there anything else? Because I know we used to utilize that and tell everybody that who's depressed sitting at home, and now it's a different level. Okay, different level. So what other things other than calling a therapist like us, okay, and yourself,
which is always good.
Yeah, it's always good. It's always good. You got somebody to talk to too. So what other things that you can tell us as professionals to tell our clients to do?
So we have options. I'm not sure if you all are familiar, especially with the adult coloring books. They have books that are specific to anxiety, specific to specific situations that the person are going through. It's very calming. They help you to be mindful and have control over your body and your breathing. So I would definitely say if someone's interested in arts and crafts, they could do, the coloring. If they are interested in deep breathing or the meditation yoga aspect, they could do yoga. They could do deep breathing. They could do mindfulness practices, relaxation guided imagery. There's a plethora of different type of therapeutic interventions that are available that people can utilize to help manage the stress. In addition to that, you have the other situations I've mentioned as far as the exercise. You have journaling. Journaling is very good as far as releasing your thoughts and processing them and going back to them at some time and reflecting on what it is that you learned from it, which can you take to grow from it, and moving forward and working through the next situations that may arise. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, that answered my question. Now, since COVID's been we've been in the house for a year now, like you said.
Yes, I'm looking there.
We're losing you for a minute. Your picture. But I'm going to keep on talking. So we've been shut down on COVID for a year. Okay. Prior to COVID, our mental health practice and other people's practices, especially the independent practitioners, I mean, they were just getting by sometimes and whatnot. And since COVID started, mental health has blown up. Okay. Do you see can you compare what type of population you were seeing before COVID up until now? What type of issues are they coming to you with that you're dealing with to decrease the stress and depression that they're experiencing?
Yes, that's a very, very good question. Prior to COVID, it was more people that may just be having relationship problems. What I was seeing a lot of kids during that time. Since COVID, because of the expectations of work demands and parents dealing with students working or either going to school or staying home, the need to meet the daily tasks within the house, financially, food, whatever it may have been, I now see more adults related to stress, work-related issues, not being able to manage the work demands, manage the house demands, manage relationships. So a lot of my clients now are older adults, the working class, man, female, African American, Spanish, white. There is no client. All anyone and everyone could be a client. Maybe before I was seeing more of one population over the other. Now I'm seeing even a presence of male, female. Like I said, regardless of ethnicity, regardless of the religion, any and everyone has been coming to therapy because COVID is affecting everyone. It's not looking for just the African American single mom or the stay-at-home dad or the immigrant. COVID is affecting any and everyone. And so I think with being aware of that and knowing that you're not by yourself, that brings some type of relief and some type of cushion because you realize that other people out there are going through the same thing that you're going through. You're not by yourself. And I tell my clients all the time that I'm in this right along with you. It may not look the same way that it looks for you, and I may not experience it the same way that you're experiencing it, but I'm living through the same exact pandemic that you're experiencing. I'm managing the same exact stressors that you're managing. I'm a mom, I'm a wife, I'm a business owner, I'm a student. I have a lot of stressors even outside of pandemic that I'm dealing with, but we're all in this together. And when I hear people say that, and when I tell people that, it gives me confidence that I'm able to get through it because maybe one time you're able to get through it and I'm not, but then we can rely on one another to be the support. And I think that's why the interaction with other people is very, very imperative because then you realize that you don't have to go through it. You may not know at that moment, but maybe your mom does, maybe your cousin does or your friend, etc. So I think that is very important, realizing that you're not by yourself. People are out there. Reach out to them, whether it's a therapist or whether it's a family member or support system. Reach out to someone and know that you do not have to go through this by yourself.
So it sounds like some of what you're saying is like a kind of summing it up of some of what you're saying is control, finding the control in this situation because it feels like we've all lost so much. And then the other part is in whichever way that feels for you. And then the other part is finding your community again, because we've all continued to try to find community, continue to try to find support. And that's even without the pandemic. We've all continued to try to do that. And so now we're trying to find that still, but in a pandemic. And so it's saying, what I hear you saying is try to find your sense of control so you feel grounded, and then also try to reach out to your support system and find your community and know that you're not the only one.
Exactly. That is exactly what I'm saying. Your power is within your village, within your numbers. You were not brought into this world by yourself. You were brought in with the family, whatever that family may look like, whether it's biological, whether it's with their community family. You have a family. So I totally agree with saying that you have to create that foundation. You have to realign what may have been taken from you, what may have been shaken just a little bit because of the COVID, the pandemic, but then you can have the power to realign and recreate what it looks like, what it feels like, to give you that footing again, to give you that foundation that you may have lost because of COVID, because we're in COVID. But the idea is that you can't continue, you can't give up. You have to keep fighting. You have to keep moving through this pandemic and knowing that you can and you will see it into this at some point.
Well, I tell you this, it's hard for us as professionals. I know it's like triple hard for you, Chineze, because all the things that you're doing a multitude of things. And it's like, I commend you, okay, of doing that and still going to school, okay. You're taking on a lot, okay. And I know that you have a support system. And for the ones, prior to COVID, okay, and I used to tell my clients who didn't have a support system, okay, develop that support system, reach out to people and so forth like that. But I worry about the ones who never did, okay, and they're sitting there. Luckily, and if people you start utilizing it, and I think they're utilizing a little bit more readily, is that technology. Okay, you can actually not just call somebody, you can see somebody, you can actually communicate, interact, and see your family members, your friends, and stuff like that. So I think it's a better platform now that they have, what people have, to actually reach out develop that community, develop that support system, and make you feel better, and hopefully you'll feel better, because I worry about those ones who didn't do it, who's shy about doing it and so forth. So, reaching out to a professional like you and reminding them that, they need to develop this. If they have not, at this time, they can be, it's easier done now than it was in the past. Yeah. Yeah. I like that.
One of the things,
And I think,
also,
I'm sorry.
Okay.
just to add to that, one of the things, I mean, you've mentioned was, improving such social isolation by, finding ways to be socially connected. And one of the things I've noticed is Facebook has done a really good job with that, and the fact that there's a lot of virtual events. So while I can't, go to a museum and I can't go to Paris, I can go see Paris virtually, on this day at this time. So, I mean, and there's been a lot, because I'm just a very social butterfly. So I found myself, Googling when it was like, we were all on lockdown, and it was, people were throwing social happy hours on Facebook, and this group and that group. So
Yeah.
I'm wondering, for your clients, is there any social virtual groups that we should be aware of to refer our clients to, like that you saw
I haven't
virtually?
personally used
No.
any virtual groups. I do tell my clients that if you look online, there are a plethora of different social groups available, whatever your interest may be, whether it's about travel, whether it's about being a social butterfly, whatever your interests are. You could go to any platform, whether it be social media on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. If you just type on the internet, social groups for older adults, there's always something there that you can find, because a lot of people are moving their services online because the pandemic is prohibiting us from going actually in person. So I don't have a particular one that I reference people to, but I know there's a lot of resources available depending on wherever your particular interest may be.
Yeah, and you're right, Kay, and I didn't think of that actually. But good plug for Facebook. They are initiating a lot of networking groups online, social groups. Okay, just like you said, happy hours. I've seen things like that. Me and Nicole were going to initiate something like that. We just don't have the time to do it and to man it. But I agree. I think going on Facebook and I don't know what other platforms they may utilize nowadays, but finding those type
Well,
of social groups.
I mean, they still have the meetups, but you do the meetups.
Oh, that's right, Meetup.
You do them
Meetup.com.
online.
Yeah.
There's also like museums, like say somebody who's interested in museums, you can do like museum groups, like viewing museums together, or on those sites. So think of things that you like to do, and that's what I would tell people. What is something that you like to do? Like, what is your interest?
Mhm.
And then
Yeah.
go look at that. Like if there's a local tennis club that you like, even that's something that's like physical sport, and maybe you're not as interested in going because some of them may be in person now, look them up and see what they have created for virtual. Maybe you can go and, you can discuss it with somebody, talk about it, or you can just put it up on a screen with somebody and watch someone play. Like there's all different types of people are getting very creative in what they can do to source their own income, but also to keep people interested. So I always say is that what are you interested in? Look into that. If you're interested in museums, if you're interested in sports, if you're interested in whichever it is. Like saying crocheting, you could crochet with people online. Like you can do that. You can find some people to do that with, so there's a whole plethora. That's where the online
Can you
community.
crochet? Do you crochet?
I cannot. I've never tried.
I'm just asking.
I tried, I'm not good.
My mom got into crocheting. She was an avid knitter, but she got into crocheting.
I've heard it's very relaxing. I have clients who do that they do that for relaxing, crocheting or knitting. I've gotten stuff from it. I would like to one day to see if it's relaxing for me. I don't know.
Well, one thing, Chineze, you mentioned meditation.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. I know a lot of people who utilize meditation, even yoga and so forth. How beneficial really is that for somebody at home by themselves? How hard is it, or how beneficial is it for an individual?
Okay. Meditation has many benefits. Some other, some people may know, some people may not know. It does increase, like I said before, the idea of having control and being aware internally of what is going on with your person, paying attention to your breathing, the controls of your body, organs, just being able to be in control of your overall person. So that is obviously the main benefit of meditation, just being mindful and gaining that awareness. In addition to that, it helps you focus on the present. With anxiety and a lot of these mood disturbances, it takes us from the present. It robs us of the present and makes us focus on the future, the unknown. But when you use a meditation, when you use mindfulness, it brings you back to the present. It creates a sense of groundedness, a sense of presence in what is going on. It helps you recognize what I can do in this moment to mitigate whatever the situation is in front of me. It doesn't allow me to say what's going to happen 2 weeks from now, but today, what can I do to make me well in this moment? So I think that's one of the big benefits of meditation, is that it helps you bring back together, bring your concerns back into a smaller circle, and helps you feel more in control, that you can identify something within that moment to help you get through to the next moment. Because that's the only thing that we're doing every day, is trying to go moment by moment by moment. We don't know what is going to come next. But as long as we can get through this moment, then that's one more step closer to where we were going than yesterday. So long as we can get through them and keep fighting and finding different ways to overcome these challenges, I think we'll be able to lessen the amount of stress that we have. We'll be able to use a meditation and seeing that we are able to find alternatives. We're able to reduce negative emotions. We're able to increase our patience and tolerance. We're able to focus on the present. We're able to give new perspectives on stressful situations, and just having alternatives to how we always responded to situations, particularly during COVID, when we don't know what to expect, where our end is going to come.
Yeah, and it's very good, very good comeback with that. Now, I just recently seen something online. I even see it on TV. They have these apps that tells you don't do anything for 15 seconds. Don't do anything for 30 seconds. That's kind of like a meditation type of thing, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
It's being still and being present.
Say again?
I said it's just the idea of being still and being present.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Very hard thing to do. I used to tell my clients who's experiencing anxiety and so forth, I said, try to deep, diaphragmatic breathing techniques and so forth. I said, but what I want you to do is go into the room, turn off all your lights, TV, phone, okay? And I want you to breathe, okay? And try to be silent for 15 minutes. 15 minutes out of your day, okay? 15 minutes a day. That is the most hardest thing that you
It's
can
hard. That feels like an eternity. 15
Yes, it
seconds
is.
I could do.
But it's the best thing.
That was my
It's
favorite
meditative,
part.
right? It's meditative. It's breathing and stuff like. So you're actually getting into that zone, but it's so hard. I've tried it several times. I got 5 minutes. So
You got 5? I'm proud of you.
Oh yeah, I got 5. This is where you're not here. But, so and I tried it, and I wish our doctor friend, Dr. Hogberg was here. One of our clinical supervisors from Philadelphia and colleague. He was in a Buddhist monastery for 2 years. Okay, and I said, Doc, what did you do for 2 years? He said, I meditated. I said, you meditated every day, all day for 2 years. I said, what did you think about? He said, well, you focus on your breathing. And that's all you think about is your breathing. He said, but your mind plays tricks on you. And you go all around, kind of skits out. But he said, after you get used to it, he said, man, it's the most lovely thing that you can do in your life.
Yeah.
Okay, and I'm taking this from a 79-year-old guy that I call him up once a month and I ask him, what's the meaning of life?
Yeah.
Did he get
Huh?
Did he get lonely? Because in a Buddhist monk you can't talk to anybody.
Yeah, I mean, you got other
understand
people. I don't know if you could talk to. You know, I never asked them that. I don't know if you could talk to people or
Good
whatever.
question.
But that's a good question. Next time I'm gonna have them. I'm gonna have them join our meeting. We can ask them that.
Yeah, because from my
Yeah.
understanding, you can't talk to anybody.
Well, some of them take a vow of silence, but I don't think all of them do.
Oh, okay.
But during the meditation, I don't know how long that is. I think that you're not going to talk then, of course.
Of course.
Yeah. So Shanaze, going back to stress, okay, anxiety. In fact, I'm going to plug it right now. The Hope and Healing Foundation is actually starting a online stress management, anxiety management group March 1st. You can look on our website, thehopeandhealingfoundation.com, and you can look on Facebook, okay, for your free information. Well, not free information, free information. For the information, but the tickets are discounted for students. Okay, the tickets are $20, and the foundation is paying 50% of that. Okay, so look on that. Shanaze, I want to turn around and ask you one more question of what to do for therapists. You mentioned that you're a professional, you're in the same boat, you're going through the same COVID crisis. Okay,
Yes.
as professionals, we have a lot on our table. We're working 12, 14 hours a day. Again, on how you do it, but you're working 18 hours. We're working 12, 14 hours a day. As professionals, we don't utilize some of the things that we tell our clients. Okay. So what do you suggest for the professionals? What are these guys going to do that don't readily take their own advice?
Well, I must say, for me, I use everything I tell my clients. If I say it's good for them, it's good for me. And I live by that. I would never ask anything of my clients that I haven't been willing to do myself or haven't tried myself, because I have to be a firm believer that what I'm saying is going to work. I can't tell you to try this and I haven't tried this. I will say that first and foremost. But I think as professionals, we have to be open and willing to having a therapist. Therapists need to have therapists, and having someone, whether it's a quote unquote professional therapist, or is this someone within your network that you can go to and you can bounce ideas off and you can speak to readily whenever you're going through situations? As I told you guys before, I have my own village. My village consists of my mother, my best friend, my coworkers, my husband, family and friends. I call them constantly. If my mom was here, she'll tell you that I call her 10 to 15 times a day. And that's not just because I'm going through something, but at least I know I can always go to her if I have anything, whether bad or good. And so I think by having someone professional, family member, just someone within the network that you can talk to about anything, it encourages you, one, to have that open communication with other people, to be able to interact with other people. And it also encourages you, as Cedric was mentioning, when you sit with yourself, it forces you to recognize exactly what you're experiencing. When you sit by yourself, everything that you thought, everything that you felt, everything that you're going through is going to rush. And it's going to make you attend to it. It's going to make you experience that. And when you have the opportunity to reach out to someone and say, hey, Cedric, this is what I'm going through. Hey, Nicole, I'm having a good day. Or, Kay, what are you doing? It allows you to release that information. So I think as therapists, we have to be open to using what we're telling our clients to use, because we have to be believers of what we're promoting to them and we're offering to them. We have to be able and be open to seeking help if we need it, because we're no greater than they are. We're here just like they are, and we may have more information, more experience in dealing with what they're dealing with, but we all are human. We all have emotions. We are all dealing with things together. So I think on top of that, you also have to be just cognizant, and you have to be aware. As therapists, we have to be able to create a sense of peace and comfort. I see a lot, I do a lot, so I know I have to be able to learn how to detach and disconnect at times. And sometimes that means I have to sit by myself. I have to go to the beach and sit. I have to sit and do whatever helps me to recenter myself. Because we have so much, and because we're doing so much, we get pulled and shifted, with life. But when you're able to just disconnect from social media, disconnect from TV or anything else that may be interruptive to your personal peace and your personal space, then you're able to recenter. And I do that frequently. I do that maybe too much. I like to travel. I like to, just have me days because I realize that my wellness is most important. I can't be good for somebody else if I'm not good for myself, so that means I have to be mindful of my physical health. I have to be mindful of my mental health. And whatever that is I need to do it, I'm going to do it because I have to care for me before I could be good for my client.
Very good concept. I really do believe that therapists should have therapy. In my master's program, they initiated that for us as a study, as part of our studies. It was, I think, was about yourself. You have to really get to know yourself. Okay, and the professor said, listen, I can't send you out to the world treating people if you have not treated yourself. Okay.
Exactly.
If you don't know yourself. Okay. Know your limits. Okay. As a therapist, and really identify who you are, and then you can actually help people. You can actually turn around and make a positive change in people's lives if you know you.
And I think this time of COVID has helped people to get to know themselves again, whether it's the good or the ugly, and it's helped you to recenter, whether you're a professional or we're talking about therapist, professional, other professionals. And that's what I think is one of the blessings of it is it's really bringing out truths. And it's really having you to face yourself. So if you have been somebody that's so on the go and not focusing on yourself and not practicing what you're preaching, you're kind of being forced to do so. And so I think that for you, Chineze, what you're saying is to recenter yourself. And I think some people are being forced to do that, where if they may not have ever had to or ever thought to do that. You're being forced to recenter yourself. You're being forced to say, I have to focus on, my mental health and my physical well-being. If I don't, I really don't know what's going to happen because we don't have these distractions. We don't have these things to be able to escape to because it's all right here.
That's right.
And the sad thing, what you're saying is a lot of people didn't know what to do or how to take time for themselves and to recenter themselves because prior to COVID, we were going. We never thought of anything. And although COVID is very, sad and disheartening and discouraging because it's here and the consequences that has happened as a result of COVID, that's one blessing I can say I've seen with people is that they have taken the time to say, hey, I'm not good. I'm dealing with a lot. I'm going to reach out. I recognize that life is a lot more troubling and hard than I once thought because COVID made this picture a lot different than what I was used to. Year 2020 was supposed to be the year of clarity, the year of, seeing things better, and I think COVID did exactly that, but not as we anticipated for it to be. It helped us see life better in the sense of what we need to do to get our lives in order. What can we do, to prepare? What can we do to manage our wellness overall? So sadly enough, it came this way, but I'm thankful that a lot of people have reached out to, the Hope and Healing Foundation, to whomever, seeking help because that's what they needed. And they were going through so much, but they just didn't know how to ask for help, how to reach out for help, because there may have been a stigma about what therapy was or how you ask for help. So now people are more open and more willing to seeking help. And that's totally one of the greatest benefits I've seen, despite, the consequences and the challenges that we've confronted because of COVID. Sure. Very good point, Nicole.
Last point.
You just addressed one of the questions I was wondering.
Go ahead.
Has it become less stigmatizing? Is it like more, I don't want to say trendy, but like more like accepted? Like I'm going to go to therapy. I need to go see my therapist, or maybe you need to go. Like, is it more like natural in the dialogue and people are more embracing it instead of like, okay. Sounds good.
Definitely. As I would say, as African-American women, mental health is not something that we do in our culture. Like, what is that? Going to see a therapist? No, we go see our preacher. We go see the person at our church, or we go see, grandma and grandpa on the end of the block, the community grandma, the community healer. We don't go to therapists. But I could definitely say that I've seen an increase in African Americans, minorities, brown skin coming into therapy. They've been more receptive to therapy. And I can also say that I've seen more men come into therapy. You know, we have to keep this persona that we have to be strong and we can be able to get through a lot of things. And then even mothers, you know, I have to wear this S on my chest. I'm super mom and I'm super wife and super daughter and I'm able to do everything. And everyone realizes now that I don't have to be any of that. I could just be me and I could be vulnerable to my emotions and what's going on. And I don't have to go through it. I can seek help from the Hope and Healing Foundation. I can seek help from whomever that is there to assist me, you know, and I see a total shift in that a lot more people, adults, kids, elderly are coming to seeking help. And that is totally a great benefit because they realize that there is some power, there's some type of assistance that's out there compared to thinking that, oh, my grandmother told me that just pray about it. You'll get through it, girl. It'll be all right, you know? And it may be you can still pray about it, but you can also seek help from a therapist that can give you a little bit more guidance. So I definitely see that shift in how we are accepting the idea of therapy and the idea of having other people give us input. Maybe a stranger that may look a little bit different from me, but I know Nicole can give me the guidance that I need. You know, although Cedric is not a female, he may not understand what I go through as a female, but he's a therapist, and I know he has different input and different perspectives that could help me. And that is totally a shift that I'm seeing in people and coming to therapy.
Very good point.
Very good, very good point. I do see a big difference. And when you're saying, you know, and I appreciate you plugging the Hope and Healing Foundation in your words.
Always.
I want everybody to know that we are still working on our national support hotline. Okay, you know, give us some time for that. So we're kind of like, you know, COVID kind of set us back on different programs and services from the foundation, but we do have that in process. And that's going to be a national number that people can call just to talk to people. It's not a crisis line as far as suicide prevention. We like to do the preventative part. You need somebody to talk to. You're feeling a certain type of way. You need resources. We're going to have that implemented real soon for people, and it's going to be a national 1-800 number. So I thank you for that, Ms. Chineze, for plugging us again. I thank you for your time tonight. You gave us really good information. I'm going to give the floor to anybody. I don't know if Ms. Tina wanted to ask questions or get into the conversation. Ms. Tina, did you want to, you put the hand, did you want to turn around and make any comments or ask Ms. Chineze any questions?
I'm just wondering if there is a normancy that we're looking to go. I know things will never look and be the same again. It just, I don't see that happening. Do you see a lot of your clients struggling with the idea of things not going back to the way they were before COVID?
Definitely. I think I struggle with that, not knowing and having life the way it once was. But I think also in knowing that life is not going back the way it once was, it also gives you the power to create life as it is now. You don't have to create life and base off of what it once was. You can implement things today that can help you manage what is in front of you today, and then what you want it to look like moving forward. So my kids are at home. I wish I could send them back to school and do school in person. But, you know, I have to create my lifestyle over what my life is offering me now, whether that be for my kids, whether it be for myself, for my husband, my family. And I think if I did not have that flexibility and knowing that I can still control that, I can still set boundaries and expectations within the construct of how my life is now, I think I'll be a little bit more overwhelmed than what I am. But I realized the power of me being able to say, well, this is what this situation is going to look like. This is what I want this situation to look like. And I implement plans within that construct to make sure that it's representative and resembles what I want it to look like. But I think we have to be a little bit more flexible and not as rigid and committed to what we used to have, because what we used to have may not be what's available today. And we just have to be receptive of that and be able to move within our what's the word I want to say, within our resources, what we do have today. You know, we can't base off our lifestyle over $100,000 income if we don't have that today. We have to make the proper adjustments to what we have today to manage what we have today.
A question for you. I like your mindset and what you're delivering to your clients because it's
Thank you.
practical. But my
Yes.
question for you is because you resemble in a way some of the things of my clients in the fact that you wear many hats and you've got a thin, you seem to be spread thin given all the hats that you're wearing, you know, mom, wife, homeschool teacher, student, practitioner, wife. How are you doing it? Like, how are you? I mean, how are you managing it? Because, you know, I always find for me is if someone is successful at something that I want to be successful at, let me learn from them. And I
Yes.
ask this because I have clients that feel spread thin and
Mhm.
I would just like to hear from you so I have some type of knowledge base because I don't wear as many hats and roles as you do.
So I think my main thing is I do what I can do. If I can't do it, then I'm not going to press myself to go beyond what I know my limit is. I have a limit for everything I do, whether it be working in my private practice, whether it be working in my full-time job, whether it be working as a mom, a wife. I have my limits and I know what I can do within that time. So today, my day looked like private practice. I'm in school. I had a midterm this evening, right before I came to this. How I do it, I don't know, but I did it. But I know that I prepare myself a week in advance. If I know something's going to go, I plan for it. I don't just jump into something ill prepared. I lay out what I need to do weeks ahead. I lay out steps ahead of time. I reach out to my community. I know I'm not able to be everywhere at all times. So I pull on my husband, I pull on my mother, I pull on my friends. I utilize all the resources around me so I don't have to be pulled thin or be spread thin. I can delegate this responsibility to my husband. I can ask my mom to fill in and pick up my kids here if I need her to. I can reach out to whoever it may be, but I set boundaries and I set a plan for what I know my limit is. And when it becomes too much, I know how to pull back and recenter and not feel myself pulling thin, wearing thin, because I just have, again, to be well for myself. And I think as long as I have the mindfulness and awareness of where I am mentally, emotionally, physically, spiritually, I'm on top of it. I'm doing my internal assessments every day. When I wake up, how am I feeling? What do I want for myself? And when I'm laying down, did I meet those goals today? And if I didn't, I know it's okay because tomorrow, hopefully, I'll have a chance to work towards that goal. I'm not going to put myself down because something isn't going as I planned it to be. I will continue to work towards it and constantly doing reassessments of where I am and making sure I'm in alignment with where I want to be. If it's too much, then I reach out to the people. Like I said, I call my mom 15 times a day. She will hear 15 times a day if I'm not feeling well, if it's too much for me. But I have to be mindful of my limits and what I can do to make sure that I'm together so I don't wear thin in any area of where I'm at.
Okay. Well,
Does that answer your question?
yeah, that answers my question.
Okay.
Has me thinking about a client. I'm just wondering about the homeschool thing. How did you manage that? Because I have I'm asking for a client because I'm not a mom yet,
Yes.
I'm not in those shoes, and I'm just and she's limited on resources. So I'm wondering what feedback you could give me.
So again, I don't want to base my situation off anyone else's situation. I want them to feel that, oh, she's doing this, so let me see. If she's doing it, I can do it. So my resources may look a lot different from what your client's resources are. My husband and I work 2 different schedules. I'm able to be at work in the daytime and he was working evening shift. So he was able to be the authority, the parent present at home when my kids are in school. So that's one resource that maybe a lot of single parent families don't have. They only have that one parent that has to go to work. So if they're able to have a person that could be in the home with their kids, as I do, that helped me to delegate, again, some of the resources and the stresses I had as it relates to parenting my kids and when it came to school. I was able to go, fortunately, buy a computer for my son. So I'm able to video call my son in the middle of the day on his lunch break and say, hey, how are you doing today? Are you staying on task? How are you doing with your work? Do you have any questions? So I make sure that even though I'm not in the house, because definitely if I'm experiencing stress, my kids are experiencing stress too, because this sitting in front of a computer for 8 hours a day, listening to a teacher talk, when I know I have toys in the room and I could go outside and play, it's very difficult for kids. So I have to reach out to my kids and understand that he may not know at 8 years old how to express what he's going through. So as a parent, I have to be mindful of that and be proactive to making sure that my son is also well. So like I said, I was able to reach out to my husband. I was able to find a way to still connect with my son, even though I'm not in the house the way I should be or I could be, because I have to go to work and he has to go to school. So that time is taken from us. You know, I practice with my kids. I do the deep breathing with my kids. I do activities with my family when I'm not at work to make sure that we're able to still have that family connection, that bonding time that we once had before. So regardless of what the person's situation is, they're able to find things within their respective lifestyle that can help them lessen that particular stress that they're having as it comes to parenting, or maybe finding someone that can support them in the community.
All right.
Thank you so much.
That's
It's very helpful. So
Yeah.
think I
Very
appreciate
good,
you.
very
It's
good
being
information.
compassionate towards your children, being
Yeah.
understanding, and being adaptable is the main thing I hear you saying for yourself and for our situation that we're all experiencing is adaptability.
That's right. Well, I want to close by what our guest Tina kind of represented, the last question of, will things change? Do we see a light at the end of the tunnel and so forth? What you are saying, Tina, is that we are in a major change, okay, and we're not going to go back to what was, okay. We're now looking toward what will be. Okay. And we are now, I think, environmentally, mentally, physically, we're preparing for what will be. Okay.
Yes.
This is a totally new world. It's not a new neighborhood. It's not a new city. This is a totally new world.
Literally.
Okay. People are utilizing resources they have never utilized before. There are more people are seeking therapy, like Chineze says. So, we have to change with the time. Okay. But we're just pushed into it right now. Okay.
Right.
How long will this change be? This is a never lasting thing. Okay. Nothing will be the same anymore. Okay. Our lives are not the same. Okay. We had to make dramatic changes as professionals. Okay. As husband and wife, we had to make dramatic change. I'm a certain type of way, she's a certain type of way. So now we have to melt, okay, and make sure that we're cohesive enough to move forward. Okay, so since the world is changing, we have to learn how to change with it. Okay, we have to understand change. We have to accept change. Okay, and I think that with assistance, like from the professionals we have on the table today, okay, families and friends, okay, that village support system, I think that we all can get through it. I think we'll all survive it, okay? And in the next couple of years, we're gonna look at COVID and, say good riddance, okay?
Right.
And then we're gonna be prepared for the next catastrophe somewhere.
Oh, you're positive.
Yeah, I'm positive. But it's gonna prepare us. It's gonna prepare us.
Exactly.
We're getting through this, okay? We're able to do it, and it's going to build up our strength to move on in a positive manner. And I appreciate you, Chineze, for giving the information tonight. It's very valuable to not just the community, but for professionals. Kay, I appreciate you. Tina, I appreciate you attending. Everybody, we want to close tonight. Okay, I want to say thank you for attending. Thank you, Ms. Chineze Martinez. You're doing a great, wonderful job for the community, for your family, especially your husband. Okay, I commend him also because, I'm married too. Okay, I know how it is at home. We want to get out sometimes, but I really thank everybody for showing up today. Once again, the Hope and Healing Foundation is for suicide prevention and mental health wellness, particularly for youth and veterans. I forgot to mention that. Okay. One day we will hopefully branch out to the rest of the country to support everybody who's in need. Okay. Everybody stay strong out there. Thanks again for coming, and we appreciate y'all.
Thanks for the
Thank you. Have a
platform.
great night.
Thank you.
All
Stay
right.
well.
Thank you for the forum. Thank
Bye.
you, Chineze.
Thank you,
Thank you,
Chineze.
Chineze.
Thank you all.
All right.
All right.
Night, y'all.
Bye-bye.
Bye.